drove softly through the sleeping city, while old street lamps painted amber circles on the flooded roads below. And they walked together beneath fading autumn branches, where wet leaves clung quietly to their shoes. The youngest one kept laughing at the sound of water gathering inside broken pavement cracks near the station line, while the older faces carried memories gently folded deep inside the silence between their smiles. The city at dawn looked half awake, windows glowing faintly above cafes, still smelling of warm bread and yesterday's coffee. And somewhere in the slow rhythm of footsteps echoing through the rain-soaked avenue, their tired hearts began loosening like scarves untied carefully after a long cold season. Maybe healing never arrives dramatically enough for anyone to notice at first glance. Maybe it begins quietly, inside familiar voices returning through cold air, inside family and old friends continuing to walk beside one another through unfinished mornings. The rain kept falling silver through the pale blue dawn, while the city slowly opened its eyes beneath the clouds, and every passing light along the avenue reflected softly like old memories, learning how to breathe again. They carried yesterday gently now, not as weight but as warmth, moving carefully through their hands and voices, while somewhere ahead tomorrow waited quietly beyond the fading rooftops and railway signs. One friend pointed toward the distant river, where fog drifted low above the bridges like smoke from forgotten trains, while another tucked cold hands deeper into coat pockets and smiled without needing to explain anything at all. The streets beneath them shimmered softly with reflections from traffic signals and convenience store windows still awake, turning the whole city into something cinematic and fragile beneath the endless drizzle. The younger one spoke about leaving someday, about journeys still waiting beyond bus terminals and unfamiliar coastlines hidden past the mountains. And though the older faces listened quietly beneath the rain-dark sky, their eyes carry the calm understanding that every first journey begins long before anyone actually leaves. If hope has a sound, perhaps it resembles shoes against wet pavement before sunrise, while jazz drifts low through narrow cafes, or laughter returning softly between people who survived enough winters to stop fearing temporary storms. Not certainty, not perfection, just the steady feeling that life continues unfolding beautifully for those willing to keep walking forward together. Now the first pale morning light stretched slowly across the rain-soaked streets, while autumn leaves gathered near the curbs below, and the city breathed softly beneath the fading clouds like an old song still lingering after the final note. Somewhere between the quiet footsteps, the silver reflections, and the warmth shared beneath worn coats in the dawn air, their small unfinished journey continued gently toward the brightening horizon, waiting beyond the waking city. Snow kept falling through the narrow alley while the stranger walked slowly beneath dim apartment lights and tangled wires. The breath rising softly into the cold blue air like small clouds refusing to disappear into the night. The city sounded quieter after midnight snowfall. Distant traffic blurred beneath the white silence, covering stairways, rooftops, and forgotten bicycles near the curb. A tiny restaurant still glowed warm at the end of the alley, beside stacks of empty crates and frozen flower pots, while old jazz drifted faintly through the cracked doorway into the sleeping street outside. The stranger paused there for a second, hands hidden deep inside worn coat pockets, carrying more weight than the snow itself. Yet something inside them remained strangely steady, like a hidden rhythm moving quietly beneath the exhaustion of too many unfinished days. Maybe hope survives exactly this way, small, almost invisible beneath heavy weather and long winters. Not loud enough to change the whole world at once, just strong enough to keep someone walking through the cold a little farther. The snow kept glowing silver beneath the streetlights, while the alley stretched endlessly through the sleeping city night. And the stranger moved forward slowly, as though the darkness itself had started opening space ahead. Every quiet footstep echoed softly against the frozen pavement, like proof that even tired hearts still carry movement. While somewhere beyond the falling snow, morning waited patiently behind the clouds. An upstairs window flickered briefly while someone watered a dying plant beneath pale kitchen light at 3 a.m. And somewhere nearby, a radio hummed softly through thin apartment walls, wrapped in winter silence. The stranger remembered old versions of themselves from years before. Faster laughter, lighter shoulders, dreams spoken more easily beneath younger skies. But tonight there was no anger left in the cold, only reflection moving gently through the rhythm of snow and distant train sounds. Even the loneliness felt quieter now, less like emptiness and more like space, waiting for something new to arrive slowly. The alley kept narrowing between old brick buildings covered in white frost and dim electric signs. Yet every step forward somehow felt wider than the fear still lingering behind them. If strength has a shape, perhaps it resembles someone continuing home through heavy snowfall without losing their pace, or warm light surviving quietly inside tiny windows while the whole city freezes outside. Not certainty, not triumph, just the calm refusal to stop moving through the night. Now the snow drifted thicker beneath the fading street lights, while pale dawn gathered softly above the silent rooftops ahead. And the stranger kept walking through the narrow alley as the city slowly began breathing toward another morning. Somewhere between the frozen footsteps, the quiet jazz still echoing behind them, and the cold blue light waiting beyond the buildings. Their unfinished story continued forward through the snowfall, without fully revealing where it might lead next. The rain falls slow outside the cafe window. Soft lights, soft roads, soft cherry blossoms moving in. the dark. The old bookstore stays open quietly, pages turning slowly, like tired hands remembering small things. The old friend waits near the back shelf. The ex-lover smiles softly without saying much tonight. The smell of paper and warm coffee stays in the air, and the city feels far away for a little while. Small voices, small lights, rain moving slowly through the night. Old stories, old songs, nothing here feels completely gone. Inside the old bookstore, the rain keeps falling softly outside the window tonight. Cherry blossoms drift slowly along the empty road, and old memories breathe quietly beneath the pale cafe light. Inside the old bookstore, nobody rushes time tonight. The pages keep turning slowly, and the night stays warm a little longer. The ex-lover touches an old blue cover, dust floating gently through the yellow light above the table. The old friend watches the rain carefully, like listening to a conversation carried softly through another year. Outside, umbrellas move slowly beneath the cherry trees, red tail lights trembling softly across the wet road below. Inside, the music stays low and quiet, and every small sound feels closer than before. The books remain open on the wooden counter, half-read poems, faded notes, forgotten names. Nothing dramatic happens tonight, but somehow the silence feels enough. Rain on the window, warm cups cooling slowly beside tired hands. Soft lights above the shelves, late spring air moving gently through the doorway. The night does not ask for answers, only quiet company beside the sound of turning pages. Inside the old bookstore, the rain still falls softly through the deep blue night. Outside, cherry blossoms drift slowly past the glowing cafe window, and old memories stay awake beneath the pale light. Inside the old bookstore, the city grows quieter with time. The pages keep turning slowly while the night continues breathing beyond the glass. You walk beside me through the city lights, while the cold morning air settles quietly between the empty streets. And the buildings hold the last reflections of the night, like small memories refusing to disappear too quickly. The traffic has faded into the distance now, leaving only the sound of our footsteps moving steadily through the blue-gray dawn. Your hands stay hidden inside your coat pockets, and your breath rises softly into the air before disappearing above the avenue. There is something comforting about this silence, as if the city itself is resting before another long day begins. Maybe we do not need to say much right now. Maybe the morning already understands enough. The cold air slows everything down, and somehow that feels like a gift. The night lights still glow above the quiet streets, while the first pale sunlight gathers gently beyond the skyline ahead. And you remain beside me, carrying a warmth that stays stronger than the winter air around small reflection in the glass. Every silent building watching over the avenue below reminds me how beautiful ordinary moments become when they are shared with you. The cafes remain closed behind dark windows, while distant buses begin tracing their routes across the vacant city. And the river beyond the buildings catches fragments of silver light beneath the fading stars. You stop briefly near a crossing light, watching the horizon brighten slowly between rows of apartment rooftops. There were seasons when everything felt rushed, when days disappeared before we had time to notice what mattered most. But this morning feels different somehow, calm enough to hold every unfinished thought without demanding an answer. The cold air sharpens the details around us, street signs, empty benches, and the quiet glow of windows high above the road. If comfort has a place, perhaps it exists in mornings like this, where the city moves slowly and the world feels honest before the noise returns. Not perfect, not permanent, just warm enough to stay with us long after the day begins. Now the skyline turns gold beneath the rising sun, while the last traces of night drift softly beyond the rooftops behind us. And you continue walking beside me through streets that feel both familiar and completely new. Somewhere between the cold morning air, the fading city lights, and the quiet warmth we carry together through the dawn, the day keeps opening gently before us, and we keep moving forward, with the morning still unfolding beyond the next corner. You find an old faded diary resting quietly between books on a shelf you almost forgot to open. And the pages carry small pieces of days that once felt much larger than they do now. You read a few lines and smiled without meaning to, remembering how seriously you took every little worry and every little dream. Outside the window, the afternoon moves slowly, while sunlight settles gently across the room and onto the worn paper edges. Some plans never happen the way you imagined, but somehow that feels easier to accept than it used to. You don't need to change the story now. You don't need to explain every turn. The pages are quiet, and so are you. And so are you. The faded diary stays open on your lap while old thoughts drift softly through the calm afternoon air. And you realize how many versions of yourself helped bring you here today. Every crossed out sentence, every hopeful note written late at night still carries a small light inside it. The years keep moving forward, and so do you. You turn another page and find simple things, a favorite street, a rainy morning, a promise written in hurried handwriting. None of it looks extraordinary now, but each memory feels warm in a way that is hard to describe. You remember waiting for answers back then, thinking life would suddenly become clear once you reach the next chapter. Instead, clarity arrives slowly, hidden inside ordinary days that passed without announcement. The room grows quieter as the afternoon fades, and the diary feels less like a record of the past and more like a conversation across time. Maybe growth isn't something you notice while it's happening. Maybe it appears years later in old handwriting and forgotten thoughts. Maybe hope survives longer than expected, resting quietly between pages until the right day comes along. The faded diary remains open beside you while the evening light stretches softly across the floor and walls. And the words written years ago seem lighter now beneath the gentle glow of the room. Every unfinished dream, every small beginning, every uncertain step still belongs to the same journey. The next page has not been written yet, and the quiet space waiting beyond it feels wide enough for something new. The old friend walks slowly through the evening rain, while reflections of streetlights shimmer across the wet pavement below. And the city feels quieter than usual beneath the soft rhythm of water falling from the sky. A familiar song plays from a distant apartment window, and for a moment the years seem closer than they really are. The old friend pulls a jacket a little tighter, watching raindrops gather along bus stop glass and drift toward the ground. Some memories return this way, not loudly, just gently enough to be noticed. The rain keeps falling at its own pace, and the streets keep carrying people home. Some things change over time, and some things stay quietly familiar. The rainy memory moves softly through the night, while the city lights glow warmly beyond the mist and passing cars. And the old friend smiles at moments that once felt ordinary and somehow became important later. A shared umbrella, a late conversation, a simple afternoon that stayed longer than expected. The old friend stops beneath the small awning near a corner store, while the rain continues drawing patterns across the empty road. And the smell of wet concrete mixes with the warmth of fresh bread from somewhere nearby. The memory isn't perfect anymore, and maybe that's why it feels more real now. There were unfinished conversations, missed chances, and days that passed too quickly to understand at the time. Still the kindness remains clear, like a light left on in a familiar room after dark. The rain softens the edges of the city, and the evening settles comfortably into the spaces between thoughts. Maybe memories don't need to stay exactly the same. Maybe they grow quieter as as the years move on, not fading away, just finding the calmer place to rest. And somewhere between yesterday and now, the old friend learned how to carry them lightly. The rainy memory lingers through the evening, while reflections ripple gently across the streets beneath the falling rain. And the old friend keeps walking through the city with a peaceful heart and unhurried steps. The conversations, the laughter, the small moments shared beneath old skies remain part of the story, while the rain continues falling softly through the night. And the road ahead stretches calmly beyond the glow of the next street light. The friend walks along the shoreline beneath an ocean night, where moonlight spills across the water like scattered pieces of forgotten silver. And the wind carries the scent of salt and distance through hair still tangled from the long day behind them. Shoes sink lightly into cooling sand, while each wave arrives with the patience of something older than regret. The city lights fade behind the dunes, becoming small constellations resting at the edge of memory. The friend breathes a little deeper here, as if the sea has been quietly waiting for this conversation all along. The tide moves without hesitation, drawing delicate lines and erasing them before anyone can claim them. The night offers no explanations, only room enough to listen. On this ocean night, the friend lets old sorrows loosen their careful grip beneath the wide and restless sky. And freedom arrives not as escape, but as the courage to carry tenderness without fear. The waves continue their endless turning, the stars remain beyond reach, yet faithfully present. And the heart remembers how to open toward what it cannot fully understand. The friend pauses beside a weathered breakwater, where barnacled stones hold years of storms beneath their quiet surfaces, watching distant fishing boats drift like lanterns suspended between sea and sky. There were seasons filled with unanswered questions and departures that arrived before anyone learned the proper language for goodbye. Yet the ocean never demanded certainty, it simply kept returning to shore in its own steady rhythm. The friend traces circles through the sand with absent hands, feeling the shape of old grief soften around its edges. Above the horizon, clouds travel slowly westward, unconcerned with whether anyone notices their passing. Perhaps freedom is not forgetting what mattered. Perhaps it is learning to stand beside memory without becoming anchored to it. The sea does not apologize for changing with the moon, and the shoreline does not resist being remade. Some losses become quieter with time, not smaller, only easier to hold beneath an open sky. On this ocean night, the friend walks onward, while moonlit waves gather and scatter along the breathing edge of the earth. And emotion moves through them like a current that no longer asks to be hidden away. The unfinished horizon dissolves into deeper shades of blue, and the sea continues its patient song beneath the stars. The friend keeps walking where the water meets the shore, leaving footprints that the waves will carry elsewhere before dawn. I run through the city before the day fully finds its voice, while dawn spills pale gold across bus stops and sleeping storefront signs, and each breath carries the cool promise that I can begin again, no matter how yesterday ended. Crosswalks blink their patient signals beneath my feet, guiding me through streets that have watched me change without saying a word. I pass apartment windows glowing with early routines, coffee brewing behind curtains, and radios murmuring softly into empty kitchens. The city stretches awake beside me, and I feel my heartbeat keeping time with its rising pulse. I don't have every answer tucked inside my pockets, and I don't know exactly how the story unfolds from here, but my legs remember movement, and my heart remembers why it started. I am the city runner beneath widening skies and morning light reflected in rivers of glass and steel, carrying unfinished dreams through avenues that still believe in becoming. The traffic hums around me, the skyline breathes above me, and every step writes another line in a future still being shaped. I run beneath overpasses painted with fading murals, their colors weathered by rain but stubborn in their refusal to disappear. A florist arranges bouquets on the sidewalk while delivery trucks trade greetings with newspaper vendors at familiar corners. There were mornings when doubt weighed heavier than determination, when even tying my shoes felt like negotiating with exhaustion. Still, the road kept opening ahead of me, asking only for one more step rather than certainty. The river beside the jogging path catches fragments of sunlight, scattering them like quiet applause across the moving water. Perhaps resilience is not loud enough to echo through stadiums. Perhaps it sounds more like steady breathing beneath an ordinary sky. Promise made to myself before sunrise, renewed each time I choose forward over fear. The city never stands completely still, and neither do I. I am the city runner beneath the brightening horizon, carrying hope through streets lined with familiar strangers and restless dreams. And the distance ahead no longer feels like something to conquer, but something to discover. The open intersections, the waking neighborhoods, the small victories hidden inside everyday motion become part of who I am becoming. As the sun climbs higher above the rooftops and the city continues unfolding beyond the next turn, I keep running toward whatever waits ahead, listening for the rhythm of possibility still rising in my chest. Close the door to the healing room, while evening settles softly against the window pane, and the world quiets outside, and you place your tired thoughts beside your shoes without asking them to disappear tonight. The lamp glows low, the curtain moves slow. You sit down on the edge of the bed, you breathe in, you breathe out. Nothing needs fixing all at once, nothing needs to be louder than this. You have come this far, you have come this far. The room remembers your name, even on difficult days. In this healing room, you let your restless heart rest for a while beneath the gentle rhythm of ordinary hours. And you learn again that being tired is not the same as being lost. You stay here, you stay soft, you stay long enough to hear your own quiet strength returning. The books remain where you left them. The chair by the window waits without complaint. A cup cools slowly on the table. The clock continues its patient work. You do not have to explain your sadness, you do not have to earn your peace. The night unfolds one breath at a time, and you unfold with it. The ceiling holds the shadows gently. The floor carries your careful steps. Rest is not giving up, rest is not falling behind. You close your eyes, you open your hands. The world can wait outside the door, the world can wait outside the door. Tonight, you are allowed to be here. This healing room, you gather the scattered pieces of yourself without rushing them into a different shape. And the quiet becomes less like loneliness and more like shelter. You breathe in, you breathe out, you let tomorrow arrive in its own time. The lamp still glows, the curtain still moves, and somewhere beyond the sleeping rooftops and darkened streets, morning is making its slow and gentle way toward you. You sit across from me in the candlelight room while the curtains soften the city's distant glow, and the evening settles into quiet corners, and the small flames dance between us as if they have nowhere urgent to be. You tuck your feet beneath the blanket, you smile without a reason. The record turns slowly in the background, its gentle crackle filling the spaces between our words. You look at me for a little while, and I forget what I meant to say. The candles flicker, the shadows sway. You stay close, you stay near. The night grows deeper, but not colder. In this candlelight room, you wrap my heart in quiet warmth, while the world drifts softly beyond these walls, and romance feels simple enough to hold with both hands. The soft glow remains, the silence remains, and I fall a little further into the comfort of being here with you. You tell me stories I've heard before, about childhood dreams and favorite rainy afternoons. I listen again, I listen gladly. A cup rests forgotten on the table, its warmth slowly fading into the evening air. You laugh at your own small mistakes, and I love the sound of it. Nothing extraordinary happens tonight, and somehow that feels extraordinary enough. You don't have to impress me, you don't have to explain yourself. Just stay here, just stay close. The candles burn lower, the hours move on. Still this room keeps holding us gently. In this candlelight room, you sit beside my unspoken thoughts, while the quiet night gathers beyond the window pane, and love becomes the simple choice to remain attentive to one another. The lingering glances, the shared breathing, the comfort hidden inside familiar routines continue to glow. The candles flicker, the music turns, and somewhere between this soft light and the approaching dawn, we linger a little longer, leaving space for whatever tenderness has yet to arrive. I folded a paper airplane from an old notebook page and handed it to you beneath the after-school sky, while you stood there with untied shoes and dreams too big to fit inside your backpack. You laughed and threw it first, watching it dip and rise through the afternoon air. I told you not every flight would be graceful, and you said that wasn't really the point. The playground echoed with distant voices, and somehow the world felt wide enough for both of us. Youth, don't look down too quickly. Youth, don't count the distance, yet the wind changes often, but so do we. Like a paper airplane carried by uncertain currents and open skies, I believe in the quiet hope you keep inside your heart, even when you can't see how far your small beginnings might travel. You throw it gently, you let it go, and trust that trying is its own kind of bravery. You filled the margins of your notebooks with impossible ideas, cities in the clouds and train routes to places no one had heard of. Some people smiled politely, Some people told you to be realistic, but you kept saving ticket stubs and tiny treasures in your pockets. Proof that wonder doesn't disappear just because we grow older. You noticed the shape of leaves on the sidewalk and remembered the names of stray cats behind the gym. The future didn't seem so frightening when curiosity walked beside it. Youth, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to have the perfect map. Fold your hopes carefully, hold them for a moment, then release them, then watch them drift, then smile when they surprise you. Like a paper airplane dancing through shifting winds beneath an endless afternoon sky. I carry faith in the gentle courage hidden inside your hopeful heart, because innocence is not weakness and optimism is not naivety. The scraped knees, the unfinished plans, the promises whispered to yourself before falling asleep still matter. The airplane keeps gliding, the clouds keep moving, and somewhere beyond the rooftops and the edges of today's imagination, another open sky is waiting for you to look up and let go once more.
Sunset glows on kitchen walls, laughter echoing down the halls, little hands reaching for a plate, dancing feet that just can't wait. Candles flicker, stories grow, passing bread, letting troubles go. Favorite songs are softly spun, right here the day is won. Every smile, every bite feels like everything's just right. Dinner time bliss, hearts aglow, passing around those moments slow. Laugh and talk, the night unfolds together, warm and stories told. Dinner time bliss, so what a night. Family shining, bathed in light. Open books and Coco mugs, page by page and gentle hugs, sharing dreams between the lines, the simplest joy, the rarest find. Silly jokes and bedtime tales, sticky fingers, paper trails. Hold me close, don't let it fade, and these memories were made. Every giggle, every sigh paints our moments as they fly. Dinner time bliss, hearts aglow, passing around those moments slow. Laugh and talk, the night unfolds together, warm and stories told. Dinner time bliss, so what a night. Family shining, bathed in light. When the world gets loud outside, here's a gentle glowing tide. Quiet, loving, crowded rooms every night. Our hearts bloom. Dinner time bliss, hearts aglow, passing around those moments slow. Laugh and talk, the night unfolds together, warm and stories told. Dinner time bliss, so what a night. Family shining, bathed in light. Dinner time, just you and me. Just you and me, cherished in
table shakes softly with laughter and tired sleeves, brushing against empty glasses near the edge. While outside the city drifts through rain-stained traffic lights like an unfinished painting left away too long. You lean back quietly, pretending your worries are lighter than the shadows gathering beneath your eyes tonight. But I can still hear the weight you carry in the pauses between every half-finished sentence you speak. The room smells faintly of late-night soup, old wooden jackets still holding traces of cold evening wind. And somewhere beyond the steamed-up window, the Sabyok waits patiently behind the darkened buildings. I know you think everyone else is moving faster, brighter, cleaner through this life than you are, but even cracked sidewalks keep reflecting light after the rain has already passed. Listen, not every dream arrives loudly enough to shake the ground beneath your feet. Some grow slowly, like warmth returning to frozen hands around a midnight cup, quietly teaching the heart how to open again after another difficult season. You are still becoming Ethan now beneath these dim cafe lights and unfinished conversations. Even now, while the city keeps turning without giving anyone enough time to feel prepared, the Sabyok is already gathering softly behind the rooftops beyond the fogged up glass. And somewhere inside your tired chest, tomorrow is learning how to breathe. Your friends keep talking over one another about jobs, old mistakes, impossible plans, and train rides out of town. It's somehow every laugh that rises from the table feels like another small bridge refusing to collapse. You smile this time without forcing the corners of your mouth to pretend they're less heavy than before. And for a second, the whole room brightens gently, like street lamps reflected inside shallow rainwater. No one here has mastered life enough to speak without uncertainty hiding underneath their words. But maybe strength isn't certainty at all. Maybe it's staying through the night instead of disappearing early. Maybe hope looks less like victory and more like tired people sharing warmth before sunrise, holding on to one another while the world slowly rearranges itself outside the window. When the Sabyok finally arrives, it never asked whether you failed too many times to deserve another chance. It simply pours pale blue light across narrow streets and sleep in apartment walls without hesitation. And maybe that is enough for now to understand that every morning begins quietly before anyone notices the sky changing color. So stay here a little longer while the glass is cool and the first trains begin humming beneath the waking city. Because even this exhausted night cannot stop the slow arrival of light along the edges of the buildings. And though your future may still feel distant and unfinished beyond the blur of these tired streets tonight, the horizon is already opening somewhere beyond the window, patiently waiting for you to rise with it. You walk through the midnight glow while apartment windows bloom like quiet constellations above rain-dark streets, carrying warmth inside your chest the way small cafes carry light through long winters after closing time. The world once taught you to hold your feelings carefully behind locked teeth and lowered eyes, but now your heartbeat moves openly beneath your coat like jazz, slipping softly between crowded city lines. Every passing stranger seems suspended inside their own orbit of unfinished hopes and hidden scars tonight. You Yet somehow the air feels kinder now, less sharp around the edges where loneliness used to live. You no longer shrink yourself to fit inside rooms built from silence and hesitation, because even the coldest evenings begin glowing differently once you stop apologizing for your light. Maybe love was never fragile to begin with. Maybe people only mistook tenderness for weakness because it asked them to stay visible. And maybe courage is simply this: walking forward with your heart uncovered while the whole city keeps watching the rain fall softly around you. Now the streets shimmer silver beneath your footsteps, while distant traffic comes low like a midnight bass line in motion. And every breath you take feels warmer than the fear that once echoed through your chest in quiet repetition. You move through this glowing world, no longer searching for permission to feel deeply or dream loudly again. Because even uncertainty begins to soften when your heart keeps choosing connection over retreat. A train glides beneath the bridge while warm light spills from bookstores and tiny kitchens into the sleeping avenues. And somewhere above the rooftops, laughter drifts through open windows like paper lanterns crossing dark water. You realize love is not a destination hidden behind perfect timing or flawless conversations under perfect skies. It is movement itself, the slow exchange of warmth between souls brave enough to remain unfinished together. The old wounds you carried through too many winters no longer feel like broken glass pressed beneath your skin. They feel more like weathered photographs folded carefully into the pocket of a favorite coat. You keep them without letting them define the rhythm of your steps anymore, because the future has already started unfolding around you in softer colors than you once believed possible. If hope has a sound, perhaps it resembles rain tapping gently against train windows after midnight, while jazz drifts slow upstairs, or the steady rhythm of your footsteps continuing forward through streets still shimmering beneath violet clouds. Not perfection, not certainty, just the quiet understanding that love grows strongest inside people who remain open despite the weather. Now the warm night air moves slowly through the city, while neon reflections stretch endlessly across the sleeping roads below. And every passing light feels connected somehow to the rhythm alive beneath your ribs and restless thoughts. Somewhere between the fading music, the silver rain, and the glow of windows refusing to darken before dawn, you keep walking forward through this endless love-lit world, carrying your warmth like something the night itself has been waiting for.